The old, winding Route 9 had always held an air of mystery, but on that fateful night, it revealed its darkest secrets. Mark had never been a believer in the supernatural, but as he gripped the steering wheel of his car, he felt a rising unease gnaw at his insides. The clock on the dashboard ticked past midnight, and the road ahead seemed to stretch endlessly into the void. The moon hung low, casting a feeble light that barely penetrated the thick canopy of trees on either side. The shadows danced, playing tricks on Mark's mind. His radio crackled with static, and he reached over to turn it off, hoping to quell the unsettling feeling that had settled in the pit of his stomach. The only sound now was the rhythmic hum of the engine and the distant hoot of an owl. As he drove on, Mark's thoughts began to wander, straying into the realm of urban legends and ghost stories. He had heard whispers of Route 9 being haunted, of shadowy figures that appeared in the middle of the road and vanished just as quickly. He scoffed at the idea, chalking it up to overactive imaginations and late-night campfire tales. But that skepticism began to waver when he saw it. A figure, hazy and indistinct, stood in the middle of the road. Mark's heart pounded against his ribs as he slammed on the brakes, the tires screeching in protest. He could hardly believe his eyes as the figure materialized into a woman in a flowing white dress, her hair billowing like mist around her. She looked lost, ethereal, like a spirit torn from another realm. Mark's rational mind urged him to drive past, to ignore the strange apparition and continue on his journey. But a strange compulsion, almost like a magnetic pull, made his strange apparition and continue on his journey. But a strange compulsion, almost like a magnetic pull, made his hand reach for the door handle. He stepped out of the car and approached the woman, his breath catching in his throat. "Hey, are you okay?" he called out, his voice trembling. The woman turned slowly, her pale face illuminated by the moonlight. Her eyes were empty, two dark voids that seemed to absorb all light around them. She opened her mouth, and a sound emerged, a soft, mournful whisper that sent shivers down Mark's spine, seemed to absorb all light around them. She opened her mouth, and a sound emerged, a soft, mournful whisper that sent shivers down Mark's spine. He took an involuntary step back, his heart racing. In that moment, a gust of wind rustled the trees, carrying with it a chorus of eerie whispers that seemed to come from all directions. Mark's skin prickled as the voices grew louder, more urgent, as if pleading with him. Panic surged within him, and he turned to retreat to his car, but the road behind him had vanished. All he could see were the dense woods, stretching endlessly in every direction. Fear clutched at Mark's chest as he realized he was trapped. The woman's whispers grew louder, swirling around him like a maelstrom of haunting voices. He covered his ears, trying to block out the sound, but it was as if the voices were inside his head, echoing through his thoughts. Then, the woman's voice rose above the rest, a single word repeated like a chant. "Stay." Mark's head spun, and he stumbled backward, his feet tangled in the underbrush. He fell to the ground, the voices overwhelming him, threatening to drown him in their spectral chorus. Desperation clawed at him, and he screamed, a raw and primal sound that seemed to pierce through the cacophony. And then, as suddenly as it had begun, the whispers ceased. Mark's ragged breaths filled the air as he looked around, disoriented and shaken. The woman was gone, and the road had reappeared before him. With a surge of adrenaline, He scrambled to his feet and stumbled back to his car. The engine roared to life, and he sped down Route 9. The memories of that chilling encounter burned into his mind. As the first light of dawn began to break, Mark found himself at the edge of the woods, the last tendrils of darkness retreating before the sun's rays. He glanced back at the road he had traversed, the road that had led him to the very edge of his sanity. The whispers still echoed in his mind, a haunting reminder of a night he would never forget. A night when the shadows of Route 9 had come alive with secrets untold.